So, barely anything on this bike and right to the point to it. This is a Schwinn Connection. I got this bike at Walmart for $199. Probably one of the better, decent looking bikes at Walmart as far as that goes. Before anybody goes and tries to destroy me in the comments about buying a Walmart bike, I can seriously care less. I don't have $400 to $500 to drop on a really nice bike, so this gets the job done. So anyway, let's get right to it. I apologize if this place is kind of looking like shit. Wasn't really prepared to make a video, but it's okay. So this bike, 21 speed, 3 in the front, 7 in the back, comes with a Shimano tourney derailleur in the rear, and I think it may be some type of no-name brand one in the front. It's a friction in the front, meaning it does not give you one gear change per click. You have to kind of move it until it changes and then kind of change it back, find the sweet spot, you know the drill. The rear derailleur in the back actually is not bad. It's not the greatest either, but it's not the El Cheapo ones that you see on a lot of the bikes. Let me see if I can get this thing. Tourney, yeah. So it's not terrible. It shifts gears. It will need to be adjusted out of the box or store wherever you purchase the bike. It's definitely not adjusted from the Walmart assembly line, I guess. But if you watch some YouTube videos, you can easily find out how to do that. It's not very difficult. Revo shifters, they're meh. You can replace them if you like, but you know, they get the job done, and until they break, I think they'll stay on there. The only thing I don't really care for on the bike is the front suspension, and it's not that it's terrible or anything like that. It gets the job done. It works, especially if you have slightly minor bumpy roads. It's pretty comfortable, but if you try and do some power pedaling standing up on there, it can absorb some of that acceleration, kind of work against you. But all in all, I have roughly 45-50 miles on this bike so far. I haven't had any issues, no flats, knock on wood, no breakage, anything like that. Actually, I hit 23.7 miles an hour, call it 24, on the bike, just how it is, and I am roughly 220 pounds, about 5'8", so not in the greatest of shape, but I'm sure you could definitely go faster than that if you weigh less or are used to biking a little more. Me personally, I haven't been on a bike in probably roughly 12 years, give or take, maybe more. So I'm not exactly fit, as you would say, but it gets the job done. I've been taking it on roughly 8 to 12 mile rides. The seat's okay. It's not the most comfortable seat I've ever seen in my life or been on, but it's also not the most uncomfortable either. I mean, I have a pretty big ass, so if I can deal with it, I'm sure you could too. But, you know, seats are cheap. That's general stuff you replace off the top if you really wanted to. Brakes are okay. Could be better. Also could be worse. This whole cantilever system they got going on it works. As you can see, it's a pretty tight fit on there. I guess if you've done this quite a few times, then it probably is a lot easier for you. As for me, not so much. So maybe if you want to replace those, then go ahead and do that, but it's not overly difficult. Everything else on this thing is pretty solid. Pedals kind of suck. They're plastic, cheap, whatever. Buy some new ones. Wheels are actually extremely lightweight. This bike comes with a 38C tire from the factory. So, I mean, it's a little bit on the larger end of the 700s, but, I mean, it's all around, I guess, pretty good for street riding, you know, commuting, things like that. I'm sure you could probably get a little bit more speed and agility out of it with some skinnier tires, but that's not exactly what the bike is made for. It does have a quick release front wheel, pretty legit. Good thing to know when you realize your back seats don't fold down. So if you have a bike rack, that works, but this definitely helps if you don't. You could probably fit it in your car, taking off the rear wheel. All you got to do is move this guy here, just pull it out and it comes off, and you also take the brake noodle and just pull it back and squeeze this together. That comes off and the wheel comes right out. Pretty easy. Shocks are not adjustable. Whatever. Some nice rigid forks would have been pretty nice on here, and if you were thinking about getting some suspension corrected ones or something like that, this thing is actually pretty big. It's maybe a little larger than most of the suspension forks out there, so you may encounter some difficulties, but I wouldn't mind a nice set with some lockouts or something like that. It would be pretty cool. The handle's pretty nice. I do like the whole ergo grip. It's pretty comfortable in the hand. Brake levers, they're cheap. You deal with it. It stops the bike, so can't complain there. Same thing for the rear. Same brake setup. It's pretty nice. You can also do the V-brake if you ever wanted to change something. It's all pre-drilled front and back for that, if you wanted to do it. Shit's pretty nice, all things considered. I mean, like I said, I needed to adjust both sets of derailleurs at the box for sure. You're going to have to play with that, get your seat height and everything adjusted to how you want it and all that. The only problem I did have, and it's a work in progress, this guy down here with the little notches in it, the locking nut, he is supposed to have a pretty fair amount of torque on him, and from the factory it seemed like I could loosen this with my hand, which is not good. I have actually just got finished with a 12-mile ride, and I tightened this right before I left. I put some adjustment marks on here, or where it was when I left. Let's see if you can see that there. And it was on the smaller mark originally. Where's that? That guy right there, the little small one, was lined up with this, so it hasn't really moved. I'm guessing you probably need some specialized tool from the factory to grab all these little notches and really get it on there to the torque specifications, which I think you'll find in the manual. It might say that, but from what I understand, if you don't have that tool, you just kind of get a flat blade, stick it in there, make sure it's really good, and just tap it with a hammer on the back until it doesn't move anymore. Did the trick pretty good. Kickstand was loose from the factory. Had to tighten that up. No big deal. Basic maintenance, I guess you would expect from buying a cheap bike from Walmart. But all in all, hey man, look, I think it's a decent buy. If you were looking for a cheap bicycle to get back into the hobby maybe, or even start a hobby, or just to exercise, I highly suggest it. It's pretty comfortable to ride, the riding position of it. It's not real low down like some of the road bikes are today, but it's got a nice feel to it. Sits up tall. Bike is fairly, well, it feels lightweight, but it's technically not lightweight for its class. I think this bike weighs somewhere between 25 and 28 pounds. I mean, but I can one-hand it, no problem. It's not that big of a deal. All in all, good buy. Like I said, I mean, I got almost 50 miles on it. No problem so far, knock on wood. And it's treated me good, and I've been riding pretty much in public roads. We're in Louisiana, so I have the levee pretty close to us, and that's paved on top, flat, so not really too many opportunities for flats or anything like that to occur up there. But definitely on the roads, there's plenty of debris. But I haven't had any issues yet. Of course, obviously from the little bit of drivetrain noise, but that's to be expected, I guess, unless you have some primo parts on there. But it's a $200 bike. What else are you asking for? Other than that, pretty good. Wheels were fairly true out the box. Always a plus. not having to bring that in. But I said goodbye. I would have to say, I said $200, Walmart. You can get it online too, but I just went to the store. I was pretty impatient. I was looking at quite a few bikes before I bought this one, but just decided on this one for the convenience factor, and you know, it was right there. I could actually look at it and touch it and see what kind of parts were on it. Whereas, you know, buying online, it's convenient in itself and a little cheaper, but you can't exactly look at and feel what you're buying. So this was kind of nice, and considering all the other uh, road hybrid bikes in the same category from not big box stores were roughly, you know, in the $350-$400 range starting, and I just didn't have that. So $200, I think it was like $219 after tax, something like that. It wasn't terrible. I would say it's a good buy for what it is. I mean, if my fat ass can hit 24 miles an hour on the bike, then, you know, I'd say that's a win-win right there. But yeah, you know, I mean, obviously you get what you pay for, but, you know, if something breaks, just replace it and, you know, YouTube video the shit out of some fixes, and you'll figure it out. Anyway, so yeah, this is kind of my half-assed review on the Schwinn Connection. Hopefully it's a little bit better than looking at a picture of a bike with some music on it, you know, kind of not even a real review necessarily. But here, look, I'll shut up and just give you some close-ups and finish this up. So, yeah, Schwinn Connection, $200, Walmart, goodbye. Can't complain. So, peace out, YouTube.